Okay, excellent. I think I'll kick us off.
Is Matthew here?
Matthew has joined.
Sorry about
Okay, great. That's important since Matthew and Janera are both presenting. So let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to offer this presentation from our friends at IWBI and WELL. My name is Kim Krempian. I'm the Community and Events Manager for USGBC California. And we're very proud to offer webinars like this for free to our members and community partners through partnerships with folks like IWBI. Dale is a key piece of the puzzle here. He helped put this webinar together, and he is one of the leaders of our Orange County Regional Leadership Advisory Board. We're so grateful to have him. Dale's going to introduce our speakers today, and then they'll kick it off and share their presentation with you. So Dale, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kim. And it's our great pleasure to have Matthew Maycock and Janera Soerel here to make a presentation to get everybody up to date on what's going on with WELL. Before I do the introductions, just a housekeeping topic. We're going to hold the questions until the end so we can get through the material. The material is going to be about 40 or 45 minutes. So there'll be time at the end for questions. Kim and I will both try to monitor the chat in case you want to use the chat to post a question. And we'll do our best there at the end. So it's our great honor to have both Matthew and Janera here. Matthew is the senior analyst of partnerships and on the partnerships and market development teams at the International Well Building Institute. In that role, he works with individuals and companies to understand the value of implementing healthy building strategies, including WELL. Matthew leads the membership and works with WELL programs, and also co-leads the market development for the WELL for Residential pilot program. So thank you, Matthew. And Janera Soerel is a senior director at the International Well Building Institute and is a WELL accredited professional. Before joining WELL, Janera led business development and client management at Better Spaces, which is a tenant amenities and workplace well-being company. She's an entrepreneur at heart. Janera founded Second House, a wellness real estate company, which managed a network of country, beach, and mountain homes around New York City. She is very impressively an international economist with an MBA from Columbia Business School and is fluent in English, Dutch, Italian, and Spanish, and started her career in corporate finance in Amsterdam and Milan. So thank you both for joining, and I'll turn it over to you, Matthew and Janera.
Thank you very much, Dale and Kim. Thank you for the opportunity. We are very grateful for this partnership and are excited to share updates about WELL and of course, open to questions. I'm very curious as to who's in the room. Are you guys mostly consultants? Are you all in California? Are you real estate developers? Can you maybe just put in the chat so that Matthew and I have an idea of who we're talking to, and then we can also sort of customize what we're saying to meet your needs. That would.
I will say we have a good mixture of folks across the spectrum, but you'll see as people put in the message. But I think we've got somebody at least in every one of those segments that you mentioned.
Oh, excellent.
And I think we're mostly in California. I would guess that's who's on the mailing list.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Okay. So Matthew, do you want to start sharing screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. So this is
one other thing. The presentation will be available for registered attendees afterwards, so you don't need to ask about that. We'll send that after the presentation. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Perfect.
no worries, no worries. And then we are also available. You can reach out to us directly. Maybe Matthew, you could put I'll do it after our email addresses in the chat, and then you can reach out to us immediately directly if you want and have additional questions specific to specific projects. Okay, great. So let's start. Can you go to the next slide?
One moment. Yep. Great.
So we've already been introduced. I lead Latin America as well. So I'm responsible mostly for our real estate clients in the US and the market development in Latin America. So I'm now organizing events in Brazil, Argentina, and we have already done this year Mexico and Chile. And so it's a growing market for us, and we're very excited about the adoption there. Matthew, do you want to add anything about your responsibilities?
Yes, absolutely. So, hi everyone. It's great to be with you today. So, yes, as Dale mentioned, I'm on the partnerships and market development team here at IWBI. I've been with the organization for just over 3 years now, and my main responsibilities are I lead our global membership program. So a lot of architecture, design, engineering firms are part of this, looking to get exposure, and as they consult on well projects, work with a lot of manufacturers, as well as I also lead our Works with Well program, which is a way for manufacturers to align their products with features in our well standard. And then I also co-lead our events and sponsorships program as well. We have had, in 2025, we'll have had over 20 events. And then we also, Janera and I co-lead the Well for Residential pilot program. So they like to keep me busy here, but it's been great. So
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please.
yes.
Yeah. So this is what we'll cover with you today. We're going to give you high-level market updates, and then also the reason to invest in investing in health. We have a ton of case studies and ROI studies that we'll share with you, and also how you can find them online. We are aligned with LEED. If I know you guys do a lot of LEED, of course. And then what are the solutions? We have different solutions, certifications, ratings at scale. We have a new pilot program, Well for Resi, that Matthew and I both work on. And then I'll show you a little bit about our pricing. And then Matthew will take it away in terms of the community and how our ecosystem is evolving, working with partners across different types of organizations. Great. So we're the largest authority for transforming health and well-being in buildings, organizations, and communities, which means that we started about 10 years ago, and we've been building our intellectual property, but also reaching out to the market in general, right? So we started in 2012 with Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic. We got them together with building engineers and architects, and then we launched the standard in 2013. And it's been growing, and you'll see a slide on the growth in just after this one. But what we are now in is in 6 billion square feet. So we started very modestly about 10 years ago. We celebrated our 10th anniversary last October, and now we're in 6 billion square feet, which is really a great accomplishment. You'll see that inflection point, that's 2021, that's during the pandemic, when consciousness about the importance of healthy spaces became more ubiquitous. And we launched a solution called the Health Safety Rating then, and that was adopted widely by many of our global clients. Like if you ever are on the East Coast and you go to Citibank or Chase Bank, you'll see the seal on all of their branches. And we're still seeing good growth because we help our large global clients, our well-at-scale clients, with their ESG reporting needs, and we help them with their sustainability goals. So we work with a lot of different kinds of clients. In the US, we're in about, of the 6 billion, and almost 2 billion. So the US is a large market for us. We have 78 well-at-scale portfolios. We'll dive into what that means. But then we have individual projects, which are asset by asset and not necessarily part of a larger portfolio, individual projects. And then we have the ratings, which are subsets of the full well standard. So we're growing in each of them, and we're super excited. But we're not only in the US, we're a global organization. Our team in the US is 5 strong. And I, besides doing real estate in the US or in North America, I'm also responsible for market development in LATAM, but we have people around the world. So as mentioned, why should people invest, our clients invest in Well? Because where we spend about 90% of our time indoors, and where you spend most of your time has the biggest impact on your health and well-being. So your lifestyle and your physical environment count for a larger share of the impact on your health and well-being than your genes or your medical care. And that's huge, right? Because healthy behaviors means active, you have to engage in exercise, but your physical and social environment is pretty passive. So if we make sure that the physical environment is healthy and promotes the well-being of people inside these spaces, then we're making a huge impact on people's total health and well-being. Next, please. And so what are the drivers for this health and well-being? The biggest factors that we see are access to nature and having also nature indoor. So that's biophilic design, but also having access to nature outside is a huge driver. The right lighting, that makes a big difference as well. I mean, if you think about the blue sort of neon lights, if that's okay for the morning, but it's no longer good in the afternoon, because that impedes healthy sleep or a good night's sleep, which then of course has big impact on your mental health. Nutrition is of course a big one. We have features in our standard that promote healthy eating, also for companies and or communities. Mental balance, meaning having access to all these attribute strategies that are written up in there, and then physical exercise, promoting people to walk more, getting off of their seats. And then we've done, in these past 10 years, we've had a lot of projects, of course, and we've done a longitudinal study of with these well-certified buildings, and the self-reported being score is about 26%. Which is huge, right? I mean, it's like almost 30% improvement in health and well-being from before and after. We also have a lot of other studies that have done that previous slide we did ourselves together with universities. But this one is done in Australia, and it says that in the most categories of a comparison from non-well certified buildings to well certified buildings, the non-well buildings were less attractive to the people inside. 20 of the 23 aspects related to physical environment were significantly higher in well-certified offices. That means that people reported that they're feeling better, that they're more comfortable, their humidity control is better, indoor air quality is better. All these different attributes that you see are better in well buildings than in non-well buildings, meaning the green bars are larger than in the non-well buildings. And then we have another study that shows that in well-certified buildings, the people feel more comfort. And that's clearly, right, because the buildings and the spaces have pursued well. So we outperform LEED buildings in terms of health and well-being. LEED buildings, of course, outperform well buildings in terms of energy efficiency and environmental factors. So when we're thinking specifically about people, well helps people feel more satisfied in their spaces. And then we have a research overview that we did. We looked at about 60 different independent research studies, and we came up with the conclusions that investing in health leads to higher rents, and when the asset trades, also there's a premium, and that people are more productive. Like if you're working with companies, then they're $7,500 more productive per year because of better ventilation, which means fewer headaches, fewer sick days, and that's how they came up with these numbers. Next, please. And as you probably know, we have a partnership with LEED, because right now in V5, I'm not exactly sure what the overlap is, but in V4, we had about 20% overlap between LEED and WELL, which means that a project that does both can take advantage of this alignment between the two standards and not have to do the work twice. So projects can either choose to register on our platform or on the LEED platform, and the common factors will be taken care of. And it's really well done, because we've seen a big growth in projects that are pursuing both WELL and LEAD. And
Yeah, and I could also see larger alignment with V5 now, just as LEAD V5 focuses a lot on the quality of life, which is going to be on the, indoor environmental conditions, which is a lot of what WELL focuses on as well. So there's definitely a lot more than there was before, for sure.
Yeah. So that's great. So there's increased integration, which is really awesome. And then we have crosswalks with other green certifications as well for clients that are pursuing either BREEAM or Green Star or Neighbors, Australia. So they again don't have to do the work twice as well. And in terms of the third-party ESG frameworks, we have alignments with the UN SDGs. 16 out of the 17 are aligned with WELL. And so that means that about 80%, and that's really great for clients that are pursuing reporting to the UN SDGs. We're about 41% aligned with GRESB, when we are the third largest certification organization within the GRESB system. I think after BREEAM and Energy Star, maybe. And so we're very excited about that, because that means that, our clients see the value of pursuing WELL in order to do better within their GRESB system. We're mentioned in the Mexican taxonomy. We're aligned with the European ESRS, it's just legislation, and in India as well. So all over the board, we help our clients with their ESG reporting. So how do we do it? So our system looks at these problems: stress and burnout, retaining talent, building leadership in your brand, healthier returns. So ROI is a huge one. ESG, as I mentioned before, and then prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and getting back to the office. So those are like the drivers of why our clients come to us. It all has to do, of course, with health and well-being within the environment and within the spaces, and then and their ESG reporting. So WELL is holistic, which means that we have a lot of features, which I'll show you in a second, but all these 100+ features with over 500 strategies can be categorized in these 3 big buckets. The first is design and construction, which means that it is applicable either for renovations and or new builds, and would require CapEx, of course, in order to meet the standard. Then the second big bucket is operations and facilities management. This is good for existing buildings and or spaces, offices, and they would not really require too much CapEx. It might require some air filtration systems adjustments, but that could be done really quickly, and it's more documentation based. And then our human resources policies and programs is the third big bucket. And the programs also include how to engage with the community. So it all has to do with, like, for example, maternity leave, paternity leave, universal design. Do you have ergonomic features in your offices? So it's all about how the humans experience it. And so the standard is built around these 10 different concepts, ranging from mind all the way to materials. Each of these concepts has more than 10 features. So there's over 100 features, like I mentioned before. And within each feature, there's different strategies. So 500+ different evidence-based interventions. And it's all based on research and evidence. And as you can see, we're in 74,000+ in the 6 billion square feet. And we're in all different kinds of spaces, right? So ranging from sports and entertainment, the Yankee Stadium, for example, is a health safety rated building, but we do hotels, restaurants, offices, everything you see there on the screen. We're strongest in office, and we're gaining a lot of ground in multifamily. And then, yes, hospitals as well. We do hospitals. We have a hospital, for example. We have a couple of hospitals, and the one that's coming to mind immediately is the Children's Hospital in southern Brazil. And I visited them. They did a phenomenal job. And so, yes, we can do any type of space. Our founders say if it has walls and a roof, it can be it can be adjusted to well, whether it's certification or rating. We have all different kinds of solutions. Next, please. So as I started to mention, we have these different solutions. Ratings are thematic subsets of the full certification, and they behave differently than a full certification, which is our flagship and our highest achievement. And then for organization-wide achievements, we have well at scale. Next. So the full certification is how we launched 10 years ago. And we are now in version 2, and we're working on creating our next iteration that'll come out maybe at the end of 26, maybe in 27, don't quote me, but it's in development. It's going to be called One Well. But what we're seeing for the full certification, which is an asset by asset achievement, the project needs to achieve the minimum requirements for each of the concepts. Remember, we have 10 concepts. Each has preconditions. Once the preconditions are met, then the project gains points based on what they've pursued. And then if a project gets 40 points, it's bronze. If it gets more than 80 points or 80 and above, it would be platinum. And it requires performance verification on site as well, which means a third party has to come and measure air, water, light, acoustics to make sure that the space or the project is actually behaving or performing within the standard. Then we have ratings, which I mentioned before, are subsets of the full certification. They are thematic. We have the health safety rating, performance rating, equity rating, and co-working rating. The health safety rating is what we launched during the pandemic, and that is for facilities management and operations. It was launched during the pandemic more than anything to make sure that people felt safe to come back. And it has a resiliency component to it, emergency preparedness, a communication component, and then clean air and water quality management, health services, and sanitation. So this is a documentation base, and it's say our entry-level program, if you will. Then the performance rating is for, say, smart spaces that have the use of sensors, air quality monitoring sensors, water monitoring sensors, or they are interested in getting a performance testing, meaning that third party that comes on site and tests all these physical attributes. So this is more a lot of data. It's continuous monitoring. It's also data collected by the occupants. How is the space performing for the people inside? So there's surveys attached to it as well. And then all that data can be used in the ESG reporting of our clients. And then our equity rating we launched last year, and that pertains more than anything about how do people feel like that they can belong in a space. It includes inclusive design, HR policies, connections to the community, of course, the surveys and the community engagement, and getting a lot of user feedback from the occupants that you're trying to serve, and then human resource policies and programs, including hiring practices and health services. So it's very much around the individual. And then the co-working rating is our newest rating, which we launched this year in collaboration with the Instant Group. And it's another subset, and it pertains specifically to flexible spaces and how third parties can come in, meaning like other tenants, like smaller tenants, can come in and benefit from everything that the co-working space has done. And then at scale is where our corporate clients come together or come to us, and they can do everything they want within our system. They pay us an annual fee, and they can obtain as many certifications as they want, as many ratings as they want, and they can get credit for implementing features. So certain spaces will get like their Class A spaces, for example, will get certified, their branches will get rated, and then there's some offices that might not necessarily get either certification or rating, but policies and procedures have been implemented in those spaces as well, for example, and that will gives the clients points in order to get that score that you see at the top of the pyramid. And that's called the WELL score, which is a benchmark. It's an internal benchmark for them to improve over time, but also with the benchmark, they see how they're doing in their region and how they're doing in their sector. And we help our global clients or our well-at-scale clients with their ESG reporting. Each global account manager, each well-at-scale client gets a technical account manager, and they work together in terms of like what are the goals of the client, what kind of ESG goals that might they be pursuing, or other corporate goals that we can help them achieve. And then after a year's worth of activity and achievements, we show them what they've done with us and how they're performing within the other milestones that they're trying to achieve with the ESG frameworks, like for example, SDGs or GRESB. And then we often see our clients copy paste our reviews into their sustainability report. So we're very proud of that. And as I was mentioning before, we have that benchmarking system. And on our website, you can see the averages for the region, and then the clients can see which ones are the leaders. And we give awards once a year, and they love it. So it's a journey. It depends on where the client is, how they want to start. Some people start with a certification and then engage with more ratings. They see the value of well-at-scale, and that's their journey. But Citi, for example, they started with well-at-scale immediately. I mean, I think they had one certification, then went straight to well-at-scale, then implemented the health safety rating across their branches. So we have a bunch of different kinds of clients from every sector, a lot in pharma, a lot in finance, real estate, of course, and then legal industry across the world, as you can see. We already mentioned Citi, but Citi was a big client of ours. They started with well-at-scale, and they've been doing everything within our system. They're the first ones to achieve platinum, for example, in Mexico and in Argentina. They're working across the globe with us. Citi's HQ in New York City is the largest well-certified building in the world, and they have the most well APs on staff. So we're super excited about Citi. And Veris is a completely different kind of client. It's a multifamily residential client. They own the buildings and they rent out the units. They started with the health safety rating across all their units. Then they implemented the equity rating, and they are incrementally improving their buildings by implementing some of our features. Do you want to do Milliken?
I'll take this one. Yes. So Milliken is a great example of a manufacturer that we work with, and sort of building their well story. Not only are they doing different projects and getting their showroom certified, and rated, but they're also they're also a member and a global sponsor of ours. They were a founding sponsor of our global series last year. They're a global sponsor this year, so they're basically utilizing their showrooms as a sales tool when they get corporate clients or they get specifiers that come in. They are able to showcase, here's what we did in our showrooms, here's what you can do, and then they also align their products to Well's features. They got the Works with Well license. They're in our directory. You can find their products, their carpeting, flooring solutions in there, and see what features they align with. If you're working with a client that needs flooring provider to achieve Well certification. So just a good example of how they, made this entire holistic story. And I'll let Janera do ESRT.
So ESRT is the Empire State Realty Company of a Realty Trust. They started with us during the pandemic and did the health safety rating for all their buildings. Then when they came up for renewal, they decided to enroll in well-at-scale. They are an asset owner, right? So it's not necessarily for their tenants. They're doing it for the buildings. And they also did the equity rating, which is amazing. They're one of our star clients. And now they're looking at implementing more and more features, and their goal is to certify the Empire State Building by the end of this year. Actually, they're going to be doing all their buildings fully certified. So that's very exciting, and they're a great client to work with for us. In terms of pricing, as I was saying before, like certification is a standalone product, and we were For a core and shell, it would be 8 cents a square foot, but for interiors, it's 16 cents a foot. So for Empire State Realty Trust, ESRT, if they were to have certified their Empire State Building, which is over 1 million square feet, it would have been over $100,000, right? So they're not doing that. They're a well at scale client, which is on the left-hand side. So they have less than 50 buildings and they're paying us $30K a year, and they can do everything they want within our system, all certifications, all ratings, and slowly but surely getting fully certified for all their buildings as well. Ratings are priced also on a number of locations. So if we one rating, sorry, would be 5K, 2 ratings would be 6.5 because that's our minimum. But then as soon as you're above 3 or 5, it's only $1,300 a location, and the price goes down per as the number of locations goes up. So if a client is doing the health safety rating, equity rating, and the performance rating, that would have to be priced each individually, right? There's no scale benefits there. The benefits really come in to play at well at scale.
Great. Thanks, Janera. I'll take it over. We're almost at the home stretch, so thanks for bearing with us. Just to introduce, so we launched, so Well has been known in the commercial space since really our inception, since 2013, since 2014 when we first launched. But a couple years ago, we have been trying to get into the residential space. And even though, as Janera mentioned, Well is applicable to all types of locations, our Well certification was more applicable to office and commercial space. So we introduced a program called Well for Residential about 1.5 years ago now, where we were able to have something a little bit more feasible and accessible for residential developers, for builders, for owners that wanted to implement Well and have a little bit of an easier time doing so. So we are happy to share that Well for Residential, it's the first and only holistic third-party verified certification program to address health and well-being in their spaces. And this can be applied across single-family homes. It could also be in multifamily buildings, and it can also be for new construction and existing as well. So this is based off of the original Well standard that Janera mentioned earlier, all the 10 concepts from air through, water and lighting and so forth. But a lot of what the Well for Residential standard will cover is, these other balls that you see, more still, we care a lot about air and water quality, healthy building materials is really important for this. Safety and privacy, also healthier eating habits and productivity. So there's definitely a lot of overlap, but we've introduced some brand new features specifically for Resi. So how does it work? Basically, the way it works is that you need to meet 40 points to achieve the rating. It's to achieve the certification. You pick from a variety of different features. Something that's unique about Well for Residential as opposed to certification is that performance verification is not required. So you can decide to select features based on what the project goals are. Right now, there are no tiers like bronze through platinum. Right now it's a pass-fail system that may be changing in the future, so stay tuned on that. And it applies directly to the units themselves, but we do take into account the full square footage of the building. We do have a couple of great case studies that came out. We have a building out in Denver called the Lake House, and we did a study with Colorado State University that looked at the impact of Well on multifamily space. We can feel free to share this case study with you all, in the link or after the webinar finishes. But the basic high-level summary of what this included was that, and the developer was called Nava Real Estate Development. The co-founder was from a family of cardiologists that actually did really care about, healthy living and satisfaction. So We did a pre and post occupancy survey before residents moved in, and this was built during COVID. So it was so people did the pre occupancy survey before COVID, and then when they moved in. So it was interesting to see that and how there were improvements in memory and sleep, in diet and physical activity, and how people felt more connected internally within the building and their neighbors and emotionally. The building is also situated on a lake, so people felt that they could do different water activities and just have more of a sense of community than they would have normally have done in other buildings that may have not prioritized that. We're really happy to share last year, we had the first certified well residence in the world. It was a single family home out of Miami, 3-bedroom, 4.5 baths. And it was with this design and engineering firm called Capella Manzano. And they did a custom build home, and they did a really great job to just do a lot of different sustainability and wellness features, things like ductless air conditionings. They had exposed concrete where, so because Miami is a humid place, so that mold wouldn't develop if they did drywall or sheetrock. So just a couple of innovative examples there. Accessible paneling for plumbing. We also had a really great case study as well. We're working with a military housing provider called Corvius. So they had 22,000 homes for rental homes that were provided for the U.S. Army. And historically, there's been longstanding inequities with the military and how air quality is taken into consideration amongst the military and the barracks. So we partnered with them to really help them improve their military's quality of life. And they're enrolled in the program as our largest client. And they did a whole presentation at our Well conference out in Long Beach last year. In terms of how adopted it is, so since it's still fairly new, we're getting a lot of different feedback from the marketplace. We have this number is a little bit higher now, but we have 8 certified, a couple of pre-certified. We have a number of enrollments as well, and it's global, so we have 20 different countries here. So we're really happy to have some broad cultural perspectives too as we continue to improve this program. I mentioned this earlier, but just looking at the qualities of a well residence, really looking at preventing off-gassing, having adequate daylight, improving mood, movement, having maybe stairs is important as well, instead of taking the elevator, and signage for that. So there's a lot of different ways that we look at that. And then here are the specific strategies within the residential standard. So all of the features that you can see in bold are brand new for well for residential. So we have about 15 new features. The other features are from the original well standard. So some of the examples here are, having EV chargers in maybe the garages or common space. Having a certain percentage and facilities for that. Also quiet products, having basically dishwashers, HVAC systems, or washer dryers that may have a low decibel level to prevent distractions, and a few other things there. So there's just a lot of different things that we want to try to make more accessible in the residential space. We do also recognize the USGBC's the Green Homes program as well, and then also the Lead for Homes program as well as an innovation credit. And we're really happy. We just got acceptance from GRESB. If you're not familiar with GRESB, it's the Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark, and they've accepted well for residential for a full point validation status. And will be available for their selection in their real estate assessment later, pretty soon. Great. So we're almost done. So I wanted to give you all a sense of how can you engage. We've talked about all the solutions, why well, but how do you engage with us? So there's a few different ways to do that. So Janera mentioned all these different things on the left-hand side about our well ecosystem, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about the right-hand side and to talk about all the people and organizations from all different backgrounds and industries who have this health-focused mission in common. And without them, we wouldn't be able to continue this movement in the same capacity as just doing it ourselves. So we wanted to really empower our network of our enterprise providers, our members, our well APs and faculty that are leading the way in continuing to help us grow this program. Just quickly, our enterprise providers, 26 of them globally, they help us scale well more broadly by suggesting or implementing well at scale to their clients as part of their services. Usually these companies have to have a certain amount or percentage of their staff as well APs, and they have to either be subscribed to well at scale or have a client that's subscribing to well at scale. Our members, there are about 350 of those globally. They consist of architecture, engineering firms that are wanting to get visibility in our network and other benefits. We also have our well APs community. So these are our well accredited professionals. And if you are a well AP, feel free to say so in the chat. There are about 26,000 of you globally. And we have our faculty community that are also basically our advanced well APs. So if you are a well AP and looking to get a little bit more exposure, if you want to carry out CEUs and so forth, well faculty is a great milestone to hit. And then our Works with Well program, as I mentioned earlier, it's a mark for our product manufacturers. So just in terms of membership, why companies would want to engage with us this way, they want to really help marketing maybe efforts and engagement and PR and do a press release to tell their community that they're engaged with IWBI and align with well and their organizational mission. They can offer well discounts to their clients, so they can offer savings on certification and ratings. They also can, one of the benefits is getting free tickets. So all of our membership tiers unlock free tickets to come to our events. So if you have not been to one yet, would highly recommend you do so. They're really fun and engaging. They're not, we usually have between 150 to 250 people, and it's a great way to meet the community and learn from the leaders. And then, yeah, we also have benefits of complimentary well AP exams, access to different education. So there's a lot of different ways here. Works with well, just quickly, it's really all about elevating a manufacturer offering to thousands of project teams around the world who are looking for solutions that will help them achieve well features. So we do have a product directory in our overall directory, and in this case, we have Milliken that's doing it, and they have their carpets in there, and then you could actually see exactly which features that their products are aligned to. As I mentioned, we have almost 350 organizations globally from many different sectors. And then these are also organizations that are performance testing providers as well. So we have our network of performance testing providers that carry out performance verification services for well projects. We have products as well. So we have 100 different product lines across 11 categories. Some of our most adopted lines are in the air quality manufacturing space. So we have a lot of air quality and lighting temperatures and sensors. We also have plumbing and solutions, so flushometers, faucets, furniture. We have plants, so a lot of different things here. And then these are our membership tiers. So we do have a small business tier that we introduced late last year that just gives basic visibility and some other benefits. And then we also have our other tiers that will unlock Works with Well benefits there. Well AP, I already mentioned this, but if you want advice, suggestions on where to start, I'm happy to share our best resources. If you want to contact me, I'm happy to meet with you and talk about how to start and what it is. It's basically a 2-hour exam. It's 100 questions, and it's just a great way to just build your expertise on the well standard. And we have a well forum. Think of it as our LinkedIn for the well community. So definitely recommend you join. It's free to do so. You can connect with our global community. You can look at introduce yourself, earn CEUs, and get different resources from our events and webinars and so forth. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our sponsor community. So we're excited. We're working with 20 different sponsors this year. So they help us put on our events, keep us running. And, so you'll see them at different events, whether it's speaking, whether exhibiting their products, or doing different roundtables with us that, maybe you can be part of. So we have that. And then in terms of our global event series, so we've had over 25 events globally this year. We have a busy rest of summer and fall ahead of us, with Sydney coming up next on August 20th. And we're really excited to partner with USGBC California on our Healthy Homes Thematic Summit. It's our inaugural event regarding healthy homes. And it's going to be held in downtown LA on September 18th. So we really hope to see you there. And it's going to also be held on the same night as your game night as well. So we're really looking forward to doing this with you, having you in the community, and hope to see some of you there. Janera and I will be there. And with that said, I'm happy to open up for some Q&A, and thank you for being part of this.
So yeah, thank you, Janera and Matthew. That's very, very good, comprehensive overview. I'm glad you mentioned the event coming up especially for this group, this California, mostly California group. That event is in Los Angeles, as is in the chat, and you mentioned here at the end, coming up just about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Janera's been very good about answering questions, and Matthew too, as we've gone along. I have a couple questions, but any other questions that haven't been answered yet? Okay, I'm going to jump in then for a couple. So one item or one area that we hear, I think, discussed more and more is resilience as a portion of sustainability, future resilience. And of course, that's reflected specifically in LEAD. There's a lot of discussion around resilience and credits in that area. And as people are becoming more concerned about severe weather events, whether it's heat or rain or wind, is that impacting the discussion around and living in the interior of the building?
Well, resiliency is a big part of our solution. So the health safety rating is a resiliency solution in terms of like emergency preparedness, communication, making sure that the protocols and policies are in place, that if a disaster happens, that the building and or company can communicate quickly and swiftly with their constituents. And then, of course, we have those overlaps with the other certification bodies that may be looking more at the physical structure in terms of the sustainability. But yeah, resiliency is a big factor for us.
So especially wildfire, especially with recent events in California, wildfire impacting indoor air quality.
Indoor
big
air.
issue.
The for Resi has a fire mitigation innovation in the standard. Of course, that we've been taking into account what's happening with wildfires. Air quality monitoring is a big one in terms of fires. We were in New York a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and we had wildfires in Canada. In our office, we could see the big clouds of smoke, and our air quality inside was fine because we have all those filters, right? So yeah, air quality, water quality in terms of resiliency is of course big. And then infrastructure in terms of like how the building is built. We're looking at materials as part of that equation as well.
Great, thank you for that.
Matthew, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, resiliency is always, important. How can we withstand and recover from, these tragic events and climate related events. So I think having that disaster preparedness, just sort of a plan and programming and adaptability. And I think also, looking at what materials that we're using to build with as well. I saw a couple articles Janera sent these to me about certain homes that actually were still standing that had a different design, I think, material construction process. So that was very fascinating to see, how those homes withstood. And I think we need to focus on how do we design maybe in those terms to prevent, that mass tragedy.
Yeah, and thinking about nature, access to nature and biophilia is a
Yeah.
huge part of our standard. And in terms of what Matthew was saying, the article, the ones that had trees and had good landscaping, that they, not all, I'm sure I can't make a definitive statement, but the ones that I saw, they were better insulated in terms of the other homes right next to them. This was about the California wildfires, of course.
Stephen, I see you put a note in the chat. Did you want to say anything in addition to what you said in the chat?
Not really. It's just that I live and lived up until 2 years ago right outside of Altadena. And really one of the biggest problems was there was no community organizing on disaster preparedness, which they could have done. I have friends that I talked into getting groundwater pumps so that they had some sort of fire capacity. There just was no organized plan for a community. And yes, when you get a fire and 100-mile-an-hour winds, the fire department can't protect you. What happened was a freak event. But planning for it could have helped some of the recovery afterwards. I mean, people were just in shock, and there was no mechanism really to help anybody.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yvonne, you had a couple of questions maybe?
Oh, hi, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to comment quickly about the fires. I mean, I think with 90-mile-per-hour winds, it was extremely difficult. Helicopters dropping water could not operate with the winds that high. It was dangerous. And things like that, and the winds blew over the power poles in Malibu, and those homes along right on the ocean, normally they're all connected. Well, a lot of them are connected, and normally they're not affected by fires that are up in the hills, but this time they were because the winds were so high. So I'm just agreeing with that. The question I had was, is it becoming more difficult or less difficult to present or offer lead to office clients, seeing how, at least in the Los Angeles area, there's been an uptick in vacancies, office vacancies? Maybe that could be a selling point to actually intrigue people to come back rather than, oh, maybe office real estate companies aren't going to want to invest since there's a high vacancy rate. They're trying to just rent out their spaces. So I was just wondering if has it been easier or more difficult
It depends.
since COVID?
We have a few clients that are doing office to resi conversions in New York.
Oh,
And
that's right.
that seems to be going really well. And then of course they're using our standard to make the conversions, which are, in New York, and think about it, the buildings are huge, right? The office buildings have large floor plates. So it's kind of challenging, but they're making it work. And then in terms of we have two kinds of clients. We have the owners of the buildings, and then we have that do core and shell. And then we have the tenants, the companies that do interiors. So we have our largest clients are the tenants. They have, Citi, for example, and JP Morgan and other big financial institutions, but also law firms. So they do their interiors. They get their interiors certified. So as the real estate market may not be as frothy as it used to be, the corporate market is still very solid. So we're seeing a lot of uptake there. They I mean, one of our clients, they just did 10 floors, for example, in a building that's not well certified, but their 10 floors are well certified.
And maybe I missed it, but you're explaining how, this is another question. You were explaining how buildings can be both LEED and well certified. And is it the right term, the crosswalk between well and LEED? Okay, so you just exactly in a couple of words, like the easiest way to achieve this, do you just pick one and then do you how do you coordinate that? And also, is there additional cost for still for doing both? I mean, it seems like it would be more than, I mean, you pay you still pay for both, right?
Yes, you
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pay for both and you register it either with them, with LEED, or with us.
Uh-huh.
And the common features you don't need to do twice, but then you still have to do all the well features and all the LEED features, right, Matthew?
Correct.
Yeah, I think there wasn't a test, as I recall, years ago with a program to try to, for people that wanted to engage in both, someone was trying to figure out how to make that easier for people to manage, right? If you're trying to do both.
It's now a lot easier. It's
Yeah.
one platform. And the client can choose whether they want to do it on the LEED platform or on the well platform.
Ah,
Because
okay.
And what's the name of it, like when you register to let that group know you want to do both? Like, what is the term?
Matthew, do you know that?
Yeah,
exactly?
I mean, it's a dual certification. We
Uh-huh.
have the whole PDF
It's Toggle
guidebook
it, I believe.
that talks about it. Maybe we can put it in the chat or send it as a
Mhm.
follow-up.
Well,
But
let's
you
set
just
it up as part of the follow-up.
yeah,
I
we'll
think
do it
there
as
is
a
interest.
follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
So I
That's
want
it.
to thank both of you. We're out of time. I do want to say that sometimes well pops up in unexpected places for me. I had just my personal experience. I go to a very inexpensive gym in Irvine, California, and right there in the window next to the door, they say they're well silver certified. So, and I think that's a cool approach for people going to the gym. So. But thank you both of you, Matthew and Janera. A very good seminar, and there will be a follow-up with the presentation and some of the links.
Yes, and we hope to see you, of course, in on September 18th.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks so
being here,
much.
everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Hi.